Hey there, Eric here. Time to put on your curiosity caps and get ready to dive into some science. For today's lesson, we're going to be talking about something that's a real pain, literally. Maybe you can relate to this situation. I met some friends outside the other day to play some soccer. We ended up playing all afternoon. Afterward, I was feeling exhausted, thirsty, and yes, sweaty. I guess I was working harder than I thought. I must have been having too much fun to realize. That is, until something not so fun started happening. I knew my legs were all wobbly and jello-like from running around so much, but they started to actually hurt. To be more specific, I had a sharp pain in my calf muscle. You know, the muscle on the back of your lower leg? Well, it felt like someone was doing something between squeezing and stabbing my muscle. In other words, ouch! Have you ever felt something like that in any of your muscles? Maybe after playing a sport or running around, especially outside on a warm day? As it turns out, I was experiencing something called a muscle cramp. A muscle cramp is a strong and sudden contraction, tightening, or spasm of a muscle that comes on very quickly, and unfortunately accompanied by pain and discomfort. And these cramps are totally involuntary. They often happen without any warning. Before you know it, boom, a painful muscle cramp. Luckily, these cramps aren't long-lasting. They typically last anywhere from a few seconds to several minutes. Just like how some are more painful than others, some last longer than others. And while I've luckily never had a cramp that lasted more than several minutes, I have noticed that the muscle can sometimes remain sore and tender for a few hours after the cramp has passed. Muscle cramps are more common in certain muscles. The most common? The leg. Muscles in the leg that are prone to cramping include the calf, the hamstring, or the back of your thigh, and the quad, or the front of your thigh. But it isn't unheard of to experience cramps in your abs, arms, hands, and feet. Technically, any muscles could experience a cramp on some level. Okay, so what exactly is going on with the muscle during the cramp? Well, our muscles are made up of small fibers that contract and expand as they move. When the muscles contract, the fibers shorten and create more tension in the muscle. They then expand, becoming longer and releasing the tension. This is when the muscles are relaxed. When a muscle cramps, those little fibers stay in a contracted position. This means they are tight and short instead of long and relaxed. In other words, more tension equals pain and discomfort. Cramps will make themselves known with sudden and intense contractions of the muscle and, unfortunately, pain. The muscle might even look balled up and tight because, well, it basically is in that moment. Cramps often occur without any warning. Just boom, a cramp. Well, sort of. There are certain causes and conditions that increase your risk of a muscle cramp. So, while you might not know when they are going to happen, you might be aware of the possibility of one and be able to take some preventative measures. But we'll get to those later. So, what are some common causes of muscle cramps? Because while they are involuntary, they are not quite totally random. Some of the most common causes of muscle cramps include intense physical activity, dehydration, and muscle overuse or strain. Another common cause? Not stretching properly or warming up before engaging in physical activity. These stretches and warm-ups help literally stretch out the muscle to prepare for the high-intensity contraction and expansion it will experience during the activity. And it's not just about what activity you are doing with your body that heightens your chance of muscle cramps, but it also matters what you are or are not putting into your body. If your body isn't getting enough certain minerals like magnesium, calcium, and potassium, for example, you're more at risk of experiencing uncomfortable cramping. The worst part? If you fall under any of these perfect conditions for increased risk of muscle cramps, there's no knowing when the cramps will happen. They can happen suddenly during or after an activity, or even in the middle of the night, waking you up from your sleep. Ah! And while cramps are commonly associated with physical activities like working out and playing sports, they're not the only culprits of these painful cramps. Sometimes you can even get cramps in your legs if you sit in a particular position for too long. If you're sitting in a way that blocks the blood flow to an individual muscle for too long, you might eventually experience a cramp as a result. But have you ever started to feel an ache or cramp in your hand after writing a handwritten essay in school? Or maybe when you're in the middle of taking a long pencil and paper test? That's what is often called a writer's cramp. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a cramp you feel in your hand and fingers, typically between the thumb, pointer, and middle fingers, from using those muscles for a long time with a tight grip around the pencil. And there's even a type of cramp that kids are especially at risk for during their peak growing years. These are called growing pains. I know, these names are really creative. Have you ever experienced growing pains? These typically happen between the ages of 3 and 5, and then 8 and 12, ages when kids usually experience a lot of growth in their bodies. Growing pains commonly affect the legs and usually show up in the evening or, unfortunately, in the middle of the night. The good news? These type of muscle cramps are a sign that you are growing bigger, and kids usually stop experiencing them as they enter their teenage years. Like other causes of muscle cramps, many doctors believe that growing pains are more likely to occur if you've been highly active and therefore tired out your muscles. No matter what the cause of your muscle cramp is, there are a few things you can do to help relieve the pain and discomfort. Unfortunately, you can't stop them in their tracks. But you can gently stretch or massage the muscle that is cramping to relieve the tension. But be careful, muscle cramps can cause soreness and tenderness to the area. So be sure that you, or whoever is helping you, are gentle. Another remedy? A warm shower or bath. The heat will help relax the muscle and ease the cramp. Similarly, you can place a heating pad or warm towel on the area to relieve the tension and help the muscle relax. If the area is feeling particularly sore, especially after the worst of the cramp has passed, try applying a cold cloth or ice pack to the area. Another thing to keep in mind, hydration. Remember, a lot of times muscle cramps are caused by dehydration. So be sure to rehydrate by drinking water or sports drinks to help get the body the fluids it needs and help release the cramp and prevent it from happening again later in the day. Okay, so we talked about what causes muscle cramps and what to do when you experience one. But are there any ways to avoid them? There are definitely things you can do to help reduce your risk of experiencing a muscle cramp. For starters, be sure you are drinking plenty of water and other fluids to keep your body hydrated and happy. Some doctors believe that drinks with caffeine, like coffee, sodas, and energy drinks, can increase the risk of spasms in the muscle fibers. So it's best to just steer clear of these drinks before engaging in physical activity. Similarly, feed your body with plenty of foods rich in calcium, magnesium, and potassium. For example, eating a banana, especially before or after intense physical activity, is a great way to give the body cramp-preventing potassium. You can also take a daily multivitamin to give you that extra boost of the minerals needed to prevent cramps. Practicing regularly physical activity will decrease the likelihood of experiencing cramps. The muscles are better adapted to those movements and activities and will be less likely to seize up, spasm, and cramp. You also want to make sure you are properly stretching and warm up before playing any sports, working out, or doing anything physically active. The more active the activity, the more stretching and warming up you'll want to do. Trust me, it's worth taking the 5 to 10 minutes, and your muscles will thank you. Now, I know muscle cramps can be painful and come on quickly. It's the type of surprise I don't like. But in most cases, these cramps come and go rather quickly and are no cause for major concern. In other words, don't go calling 911 or running to the doctor every time you have an undesirable cramp in your muscle, especially if you know you were dehydrated or overexerting your muscles without proper warm-up and stretching. But you just might want to talk with your parents or doctor if your muscle cramps keep coming back or are extremely intense and long-lasting, even when you take proper preventative measures. These may be symptoms of another problem that needs to be diagnosed by a doctor, like something called restless legs syndrome. In severe cases, doctors can prescribe certain medications that help relax your muscles and ease or prevent cramping. But again, in most cases, the cramps, although painful, are not an emergency. So, if you do experience a cramp, be sure to try out the different tactics we discussed earlier that can help relieve the pain and discomfort of these pesky cramps. Well, that's all we have time for today. As always, thanks for tuning in. We will see you next time. And until next time, take your vitamins and be sure to take the time to stretch and warm up before physical activity. You won't regret it.
We are thrilled that you're watching Blues Studios 24/7. We're so excited to bring round-the-clock entertainment and educational content to your home. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with our latest videos. At Blues Studios, we aspire to revolutionize the way families spend time together. We empower families by providing them with tools to work together, earn and learn, and achieve new heights of success. Visit www.bluestudios.io to discover more about our mission and how we empower families to succeed. Thank you so much for being part of our community. Keep watching and learning with us. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button.